Welcome, everybody. My name is Arjun Roy, producer, recordist, mix engineer, coming at you from Grand Prairie, Alberta, my hometown, at an undisclosed location for yet another sofa session. This is episode 30 of a series of unedited conversations that I'm calling the Hometown Hustle. This deals with my artistic journey through the arts and music scene in the Peace Country and all of the people who helped me get where I am today. Today, we're continuing my conversation with Neil Farnquist, guitarist, songwriter, purveyor of tasty licks, longtime bandmate and longer time good friend, pal.
They're always tastiest with you, man.
Oh, thank you. Oh my gosh. I felt like we, long before all these things were buzzwords, I feel like we kept each other accountable, look. Is that riff really as tasty as it could be? It's nice to do all this, Arjun, but could it be tastier?
Yeah.
These checks and balances.
Slightly different angle, yeah. Let's try this out.
Exactly. But, I feel like it was a success. Our licks were very tasty.
And our influences were they just jived.
Absolutely.
Right away.
It all worked together.
Yeah, it was good. Still is.
Still is.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. And, if you had watched part 1, then you would know of which influences we speak. So now we're going to continue where we left off. Really where our, musical stuff intensified with the band No One's Alone. We had last talked about, coming up in the sort of open mic scene at Howlers, culminating with knowing that, okay, this band is going to be a good thing with songwriting, playing a song known as a napkin song live, having written it just, the hour before or something like that. I feel like from then on, we jammed a lot, the three of us.
Yeah.
Whereas, you and I would play together a bunch. We would play riffs, trade riffs, play covers and stuff. We started jamming with KJETIL a lot. We jammed at his, in his dorm room. We played, I feel like we made some demos at your place too, didn't we?
Yeah.
Did we started doing that already?
We saw it at just an old relic for a computer back then. Back then it was great. But
okay, absolutely.
I think I had a little condenser mic that I plugged in. Or whatever.
Yeah, like the Logitech mic that you would plug into your computer to be able to talk.
White magic wand there.
Yep.
And we recorded a lot of our earlier stuff back then. Like Big Boy.
Big Boy. That's right.
Big Boy riff.
Big Boy.
Peanut Butter, right?
Peanut Butter. Yep. That's right.
And Polarity.
You
remember that one?
I do remember that one. Polarity.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we demoed Woman Balance in the same sort of way. We would. Did we stick the mic in front of or in the back of our amps or something? It was some kind of deal like that, right? Because we didn't have microphones and a recording interface or even a tape recorder. We were using the sound card of your computer and just recording any way we could,
I think it was just a mixture of everything, just kind of
everything.
Using the room however it was and moving furniture, maybe just to get the right positioning for,
absolutely.
Whatever we were doing.
And for what it was, it sounded pretty good. I think we all knew the kind of sounds that we wanted. And so even with this kind of rudimentary setup, we had, we made the most of it, really.
They passed the car test.
Yes, absolutely. They passed the car test. When did we start jamming at the Rising Society?
So was that pre-Stacy? Yeah, right?
It was pre-Stacy, but post-Vince, yes?
I think so.
Right. I think that's another thing. So the first bassist in the band, I don't know if this may have been even before we had a name, was Vince Marple, a scene, a scene staple. He's been playing music around here for years.
Yep.
I feel like he was a regular at Howlers and the open mic scene.
Yeah, everywhere there was music, Vince was around generally, and he's a really great guy. I love Vince.
Absolutely. Yep. Playing acoustic, playing bass.
Yeah, multiple instruments.
Yep. doing his own thing. I've always felt he had like a John Frusciante's solo album kind of vibe.
Yeah,
does that make sense? Yeah,
yeah.
That's kind
free
of
flowing kind of just really whimsical kind of style to acoustic and all that. And I enjoy listening to his stuff.
Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely. It's very, very unique. So Vince ended up being the first bass player in the band.
Yep.
And we would jam, then the four of us. We didn't have a drummer, but we would jam, 3 guitars, 1 vocalist, and a bass player. Eventually, when we all had half stacks, we then started jamming in, actually the building isn't there anymore, right? Because I feel like I've driven by. Yeah, it's gone.
I drove by it every day for so long.
Yep.
Just reminiscing and all that, the broken window on the side.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Absolutely.
But Richard, what's his last name? Richard?
Like one of the 2 guys that kind of worked on?
Before we got in there, I remember talking to him and just asking him, like, hey, like, would you be open to, letting us come in here and jamming it out a little bit?
Yep.
We're a band up and coming, just, trying to write some songs, and would you be okay with that?
Looking for jam space, yeah.
He's like, totally, yeah, come on in.
That was great.
Yeah.
So in the Rising Society, I guess, like, was it like a youth after school kind of place?
I think so, yeah, like a drop-in.
Absolutely.
Kinda, yeah.
Which, I mean, is that as big a thing as it used to be back in the day? Because I remember when I was younger, like definitely when I was in high school, like living up north, these youth centers for after school stuff, whether it was just for teenagers to hang out or something, or have something to do, someplace to go and just socialize. Yeah, those were a big deal. Like I don't know if it's the same nowadays.
I don't know. Like Jasmine, my daughter, there, she's 11, and her friend, like not her right now, but her friends go to a place called Kool-Aid. Oh, and it's over by Dave Bar. Yeah, we're close to where I live. And they have like it's for the kids to go after school and like on days off and stuff like that. Got it. But as for older kids, like the teens, I'm not sure.
Okay, that's it. I always wondered about that because I feel like I was having this conversation with somebody and trying to describe what the Rising Society was, and I'm pretty sure I said it's like a youth center where teenagers would drop in and hang out.
Kids like, do activities or like read or just hang out, right?
Well, and sometimes they'd have like pool tables or even like some kind of like gaming system,
That's right,
Or just a place for kids to go and hang out that wasn't, that wasn't a place with some nefarious angle, should we say, or whatever.
You took the word out of my mouth, man. I was just going to say nefarious.
Can you tell we used to get a band together?
It's a great word, by the way.
Very good word. Absolutely. So that's how we got in there.
Yeah.
The great thing about that was it was also like, wasn't the upstairs like an old church? Like it wasn't used for that anymore, but it used to be. So
that's right. Yeah.
The space where we jammed was like on stage, sort of, with this big empty room in front of us. So
exactly.
We obviously just crank up our half stacks.
All this room can finally sustain. Yeah, all of our
That's right. What can contain all this rock? Oh boy!
But Richard, he still works at the mall, I believe, because he was he worked for my wife Vanessa's dad at the time, because he worked at the mall for a longest time too. Yep. And I think he's still there, and he's a great dude too. He's very welcoming, very open. Like just come on in, guys. Whenever we're here.
Absolutely.
Come play.
Which is a wonderful thing. Bands nowadays, bands forever, finding a rehearsal space, if you're a multi-piece rock band or any kind of band that has multiple members and you need to be able to turn up a little bit, it's impossible to do. You're either paying for rehearsal space or, as we also did later, kind of calling in favors from friends and family, So we played at the Rising Society. We had Vince. We would crank up our half stacks. And you could hear it. You could hear the music all around. Yeah. So I feel like before our main drummer, there was this kid Bryce who we jammed with a couple of times. Yeah. I don't remember what the connection was, but I think Brandon mentioned that Bryce's dad's band played at BJ's, and KJETIL had met them, and he came to jam, something like this.
It's starting to come back now, Bryce. Yeah. Because I heard you talk about this on one of your other podcasts, and I was trying to. Like, it sounds familiar, but he was a younger guy, right?
He may have still been in high school. Like, maybe he was 19 or something, but he was Well, I think I was like 19 at the time, but he was younger than us by a bit. Yeah. I was the baby in the band, I guess.
Little baby boy.
Yep, that's it. Little hairy baby boy bouncing.
Yes.
Bryce jammed, and that's it. I mean, I don't think he like gigged with us, right? He just came out to jam a couple of times.
I don't think so. I could be wrong on that. Maybe he played an open mic, but I don't think so. I'm trying to remember.
Neither.
Also, Justin Staffen, he came and jammed with us there once.
That's right.
He brought his stuff in.
Yeah, man.
This is at the time when we had 3 guitars and a bass player.
Yeah.
And I think it was difficult for him to, like in the room too, right? Because it's reverberations everywhere.
Totally. Yep.
I mean, I think he had a hard time hearing through it all.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But it was super cool jamming with him, because I seen him play with Bella Bella years prior.
Yes.
I don't know how many years, but
yeah, solid
guy.
Absolutely. Yeah. It still is. Always, you know, he was one of those guys, maybe kind of like us, where we were always playing music and doing stuff. He was another person who was always playing music and involved in bands at the time.
And it wouldn't be the first, or it wouldn't be the last time that he played with us either.
Yes, exactly. This is all going to come back around. One thing that I guess, I didn't know this, but that Bryce jamming with us led to was actually Stacy hearing us and wanting to play with us.
That's right, yeah.
Because I feel like the way he mentioned it before was that he and his partner Gina, they were out for a walk, and they walked by and they heard a band, and they're like, "Oh, this is a really good band," you know, like,
let's go check it out.
You know, like somehow we got into conversing, and turned out that we needed a drummer, and Stacy wanted to play with us, which is amazing. Yeah, because Stacy's, I mean, he even at that point was just a
very accomplished,
absolutely accomplished drummer, great session drummer, played in the studio all the time, and he'd had experience playing in cover bands, touring across Canada and things like that.
Yeah.
So Stacy at some point joined, and so then we had a band. Then we would play at the Rising Society with 3 guitars, 1 vocal, bassist, and drummer. I feel like Vince wanted to contribute vocals, which will come up in a moment here, but. We did that, and then what were our first shows? Howlers, Sharks, BJs.
Yeah, BJs, and definitely Howlers. I think was probably one of the first ones we played, maybe. And Stacy had a credibility and a reputation, so that as being solid, so that helped us get into these other places, right?
Exactly.
And he was organized. He was on point. Just a professionalism.
Absolutely.
Not that the other guys didn't have that or us, but he just enhanced what we had to and led the charge there.
Absolutely. I mean, he'd already been, he'd done all this stuff. He'd been through the ringer. Yeah. So he knew what had to happen and how to do it. I mean, he had kind of a roadmap in some ways. And I'll always be forever grateful for that, because we're just stumbling, trying to find out what we should do and how to do it. And he really helped it along. Also at the time, this came later, but I just remembered now, and I don't have this written in my notes, but remember Charlene from the college? She would sort of book us now and again.
Big fan of us at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Instrumental in getting us a bunch of gigs, in and around the college in the area. Also, I guess leading up to some of our bigger shows, at this time, like, again, I don't remember what the sequence of events was, but very quickly we went from being a band to getting a shot to play probably at Howlers, opening some stuff. We practiced a ton, so I remember us as always being very good right from the get-go, and we would only get better and better because we just played all the time. And then we got into playing Howlers, then Sharks, which is now better than Fred's. Peter Shields booked us,
That's right,
started to give us some shots there. And then eventually we started playing at BJ's.
For Byron Johnson,
rest in peace.
Yeah.
What a figure and character in.
Character is right.
Yeah.
Very cool guy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that all happened, and then within several months, after playing a ton, because we played a ton, we jammed a lot.
Yeah.
And once we started playing live shows, I mean, I feel like our sound was rock music that people could rock out to and drink to and maybe dance to.
Yeah.
We played all originals, which is funny because usually bands play all covers and sneak
Yeah.
in originals. We were the opposite. We played all originals, snuck in a few covers.
Yep.
But we played, I remember some of the early shows, like maybe Sharks
Yeah.
was our first like full night gig.
Yeah.
And I remember like looking at all the songs we had and just figuring out which songs can we jam on and stretch out. Like,
Stretch
okay,
it out, yeah.
we've got like 3 30-minute sets,
Yeah.
but we need to play 3 45s.
Let's do blues and D for about 20 minutes. How's that sound?
Absolutely. KJETIL will come up with some lyrics and then we'll all trade solos.
Yeah.
Stacy will have a drum solo.
Well, see, when Stacy came into the picture,
Yep.
it was so cool because quite often during sound check, we'd jam at sound check on
Yeah.
stuff. And it, like, a lot of times it's really inspiring just to
Yeah.
have that to kick off the night, right?
Absolutely.
So
Yeah,
cool.
that's right. I remember like our sound checks became a thing where like bar patrons would come and hang out,
Yeah,
you know, because
yeah.
they thought the band was already playing, you know.
course.
People would kind of walking off the street like, oh my, these guys are playing, you know.
Yeah.
Like the bar staff would come out and like rock out like, wow, this is great. And we're like, all right, cool. Our sound check is done.
See you in a
Now we'll be back.
few, yeah, we're gonna get some
Yeah.
refreshments.
We'll awkwardly leave stage for 7.5 minutes and then come back and start playing again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really good vibe, man. I remember we jam. Sometimes we jam out new ideas or cover ideas that we
Yeah.
were thinking about.
Yeah, exactly.
But I remember that was a trial by fire in a way. You know, like suddenly we were one of those bands who had to play an entire night, 3 sets,
Yeah.
and keep. You know, and what happens is that you learn that being in a band, as well as being about you, is also not about you. Like if you're being entrusted to entertain an audience,
Yeah.
you better entertain the audience. So very quickly you
Don't be
learn
too indulgent.
don't be too indulgent. Absolutely. Be cool. Talk to the audience.
Yep.
Figure out like stagecraft is what it is.
Yeah, yeah. You're
So
right.
important.
It is.
There are a lot of bands who are great, but they can't connect with the audience, and they just shoot themselves in the foot
Yeah.
as a result.
Yeah.
I feel like we figured out how to do that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'd never done it before, you know, in that way.
That was totally new to me too.
yeah.
And Stacy really helped with that.
He did, absolutely.
Yeah.
He was the, you know, like, again, maybe pauses between songs. I remember because KJETIL wouldn't want to, like, make small talk with the audience. Like, that was
Yeah,
kind of his,
it
he was,
was-
like, a little bit more
yeah.
intense, you know. But Stacy would, you know, he knew when to say, like, all right, everybody, social balls, remember to tip your waiter, all right, you know, stuff like that, which
Yeah.
that's what you need to
It's
do.
important. Yeah,
Absolutely.
You gotta get through it.
Totally.
Yeah.
So we did that a lot, man. And I feel like just as a band, we got much better
Yeah, we honed
really fast.
pretty quickly there.
Yeah, started becoming a live band.
Yep. And it's cool to see how that just evolves, right?
Yeah.
Over time, and it happened really quickly because
It did.
what 2003
Yeah.
or 4 to 2006, right? That's 2005, 2006.
Yep, yep.
So yeah, before you know it, I mean, you're playing, you know, full-fledged shows and headlining and opening up for the Salads.
Yeah, opening
Tom
up.
Cochran.
Oh
like,
my
all these
gosh.
big, like,
yeah, for real. Absolutely.
It was
Yep.
mind-blowing.
It was mind blowing. It really was, man. We made an impression on everybody, and I think, you know, people understood that we were like a band that had our shit together. You know, it was partly because the chemistry was good, the players were really good, and I think we handled ourselves like well. You know, like we weren't like a hot mess. We wouldn't cause problems for people.
Yeah.
Generally, we connected with the audience, and they would have us back.
Yeah.
And let's talk about things happening quickly. Like within a few months, Graham Johnson, son of Byron Johnson, Graham is a promoter, or I mean, I haven't seen him in ages, but he promoted a lot of shows in town. But he used to put on a massive festival called SummerSlam.
Yep.
And so, because of us playing at BJ's and kind of showing that we could hack it, he booked us, you know, or gave us a shot to play.
Opened another door,
Yep,
right?
opened another
Yeah.
door.
It's pretty
The beer gardens at
Yes,
SummerSlam.
in the tent, yeah.
Totally. Again, playing like 3 nights in a row,
Yeah.
a ton of music, just keeping people entertained in the beer gardens, you know?
Yeah, it's good times.
It was a-
bunch of bikers.
It was, a bunch of bikers,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's-
Yep, again, trial by fire, you know, but
Yeah,
we
good
won everybody
dudes.
over, man. Absolutely. That weekend, I mean, bands who played Headstones, Nazareth.
Nazareth. Oh my
Nazareth.
God, man, that was so awesome.
good. Man.
Just something about that. I don't know the guitarist's name, but he had the full stack.
Yeah.
And, a lot of their songs, his solos, he has those really long sustained notes.
Totally.
And it was just picturesque seeing this guy.
Absolutely.
And, yeah, very inspiring.
Very inspiring.
Like, that's where we want to be, right on the main stage there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That was an intense and excellent weekend. It kind of brought, I guess, like the first kind of band conflict up a little bit. We kind of came up that our time with Vince was at an end. So we, shortly thereafter, I think we had like another weekend of like shows at BJ's.
That's right.
And after that,
BJ's,
KJETIL right suggested, and we, kind of parted ways with Vince. I don't know how Shaun McDonald joined the band from there. Did we know him? Did we reach out to him? Did we put out the word?
I think it was maybe KJETIL or...
Okay.
I didn't know of him at the time. I don't think I did. Vanessa knew of him at the time. But,
okay.
Once he came into the fold.
Yep.
She's like, oh, yeah, Shaun. I know Shaun. She worked with him, I think, at a gas bar in town.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, years back. But,
yep, got it.
Yeah, he was a great dude.
Great dude.
Yeah, some good gigs with him.
Totally, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember, again, I don't think I was the one who sort of reached out to him and made the connection.
Yep.
But I knew of him because he played in a punk band, area punk heavyweights, Undermined Authority with Mike MOMAN, right?
Yeah.
Mike MOMAN. And I don't remember who else. And some other sweet GP punks.
Yeah.
But then he was our bassist, and he was a great bassist. He had really good ears, a lot of energy on stage. And just, I don't know, he was another character, man.
Cool ideas, too. Jamming with him, just something that I just wouldn't think of. He'd suggest it. I'd be like, yeah, Shaun,
Yeah.
For sure.
There were a couple of tunes where he suggested some, some interesting turnarounds and interesting riff ideas to get back to where we wanted to be after a bridge.
Yeah, Ever Again. Do you remember when we were trying to hammer out an arrangement to that?
Yep.
And he's like, just keep climbing.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's hard on KJETIL's voice, but he can do it.
He can do it.
Let's try it out and see how it sounds.
And it led us back to the riff that we wanted to get to. And I would never have thought of that. For sure.
Neither, man.
Yeah. That was really interesting. It's great having, again, another person to pitch in with songwriting ideas.
Yeah.
He didn't necessarily contribute like full song ideas or like lyrical ideas or melodies, but he helped, again, he just helped push the songwriting forward and keep it fresh, really.
And again, he brought a lot of integrity to the sound of the band and everything.
Yeah.
Right?
It's interesting because a lot of that was, I guess, like that punk ethos. I remember there was a song, or there was a show when, I don't know where we played, but it was one of these 3 sets a night kind of things. We played every song we had, and they wanted an encore, and we played... I guess whatever else we could play, but we ended with a cover, and Shaun afterwards was like, look, your original band would never end with a cover, man. And I appreciate it because...
I did too. It was awesome.
I understand.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, it was...
That was at Howler's, I think, that 3 in one night, wasn't that? I can't... Were we playing Queens of the Stone Age, Go With The Flow at that point? Probably.
I think so, yeah. Yep.
That was one of those shows,
Yep, definitely.
I remember the crowd just giving her, man, just getting right into that whole set.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's the beauty of the thing that we do. It's so intangible, like how we're playing music and riffs and stuff that make us happy. And then when you see in the audience, like everyone is with you.
Yes.
People are singing along to your original tunes.
Yeah.
They're they're grooving out with you through all the riffs. Like when we do those band things, we like let a note ring out and you're like, the chorus is coming. You're like, yeah, what's up? The crowd goes crazy and then you hit the chorus. It's like nothing else, man.
At BJ's, I don't remember. I think it might have been that Tsunami Relief show.
Right.
But when we started playing True Love that night and everybody started singing it, it just like, what? What is happening right now? This is crazy.
That was. And that's a really cool thing about our story.
Yeah.
And like the support that we had from, the folks of Grand Prairie.
Yeah.
As well as the college, everyone who helped us along, and also the radio station. One thing that we did lots, again, was record. We would record ourselves all the time.
Yeah.
I feel like we hit the studio with James Oldenburg and put out an EP.
Yeah.
And one of the songs, True Love, it's like a classic dance kind of a tune. So, we would have a lot of crunchy, heavy tunes, and then we'd have some light pop type stuff.
Yep.
And True Love was a song that I think when James heard it, he recognized if there's going to be a single in all of this, this is it. And so, he helped us kind of whip it into shape to be like a pop rock
Great
song.
Recording, man.
Great recording. Yeah. Great experience recording too.
Even though I'm hitting an F sharp, I think, or a G when it's supposed to be F sharp.
No, well, some of those things too. I remember, trying to figure out some of those melodies, how we play a riff and a chord fragment together to push it forward.
Right.
It all worked out.
It sounds good.
It sounds good. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's like a minor ninth or something.
There you go.
Whatever.
Makes the ears feel good.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. That's what matters, man. But we had a lot of support from Rock 97.
Yeah.
At the time, they were known as Sun FM. And I remember specifically the DJs Dave Sawchuk,
Dave,
Darren Brown, and Scott Belford throughout the time that we were a band, would get us on the radio. They would do interviews with us. They would spin our tunes, which you're right. That Tsunami Relief show, they had been playing the song True Love. Yeah. And so came time for us to play. Dave introduced us. People kind of knew who we were. But when we played that song,
wasn't that cool, man? It's just this is why this is so addictive.
Absolutely. Right? Do you remember the first time hearing? That was our first radio single. Do you remember hearing that on the radio for the first time? How did it feel?
What was it like? It was going up against. They had a head-to-head or something.
That's right.
And it
was like some rock song.
Yeah, And just hearing it for the first time, it just opens up like wow, the world's your oyster, or whatever you want to say. Yes.
You're listening to the radio, and that's our song,
that's
man.
Ours.
It's beautiful. And again, it was the catchy kind of thing that people could get into easily. Yeah. And so that ended up being a song that people just loved, man.
When we were writing that, I remember when we were doing the chorus, it's kind of a crunchy chorus, right? Yeah. And lots of energy. And I was listening to a lot of Zeppelin at the time, and I was like, man, when Plant does that screechy stuff, high register. Yep. Sounds really good. Why don't we try that? And then you and KJETIL just did that.
Played that lick. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Which is cool. Again, going into the studio with James, I remember the lick was originally one way. Yep. And he kind of helped us simplify it. Whatever you're doing guitar-wise, playing this bend and this hammer-on, don't do that. If someone's going to hum it, what are they going to hum? Yep. And so Kate and I were both like, well, I guess you would hum it like this. And that was the hook,
The beauty of the studio, because you get to hear everything just isolated, naked. Yep. And, it's eye-opening. It is. Let's try,
absolutely.
Hammer through this.
Definitely.
That's good.
That was a beautiful thing, man. Great time. And then, my gosh. So much happened during that time. I just remember there'd be weekends where we'd play Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Yeah. Maybe 2 nights at BJ's, 1 night at Sharks. There'd be times when we'd play an opening set in one place and then at the same night, tear down, go to another venue and headline a show there. Yeah. Those were insane.
Just on fumes until we hit the stage, and then you feel the energy. And
electric.
You're on it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Man, it's good.
It's a beautiful thing, man. Yeah. We jammed, again, a big part of it was we just put in the work. We jammed a lot. We put in, the 10,000 hours concept. I mean, we absolutely did that between jamming and playing live. Yeah. We jammed at the Rising Society, and then at some point we couldn't. And then we jammed at a couple of places. We jammed at your grandparents' farm for a while.
Do you remember? Okay, so in Grand Prairie, people that live here. Do you know where OK Tire is now?
OK Tire.
Yeah, because back then, before it was OK Tire, we jammed there when it was an empty couple bays.
That's right.
My uncle said, "Hey, I'll go use it."
That's right. Man, I remember that, like throwing open the bay doors.
Yeah.
Like we'd pull up with our vehicles, like parked in front of the bay doors, grab our amps, walk them into the shop, crank it up and play. I remember, so we played a few covers, but for every cover that we played, we probably tried like 5, 6, or 7 ones that didn't make the cut for some reason. But I remember in your uncle's shop, like it was like the middle of summer, the wind was blowing, it was dusty, and we were trying to sing like Be Yourself and some other tunes like that.
Yeah.
Like some, stuff that might be in KJETIL's wheelhouse. Yeah. But for some reason, it just didn't work out.
Or that Fuel song, what was that?
Hemorrhage. We played that once. It was a beautiful song.
Good song, yeah.
Oh my gosh, but it didn't work in the context of our set.
Yeah.
I remember maybe the first and only time in our career that we played, and then halfway through we're like, we're going to change gears and like slow it down, and it seems like a great idea at the time, but the crowd just cleared out. Because what happens when a crowd isn't engaged, at a bar? They'll go buy drinks, right? Usually we had the luxury of like everyone would have drinks. They would just come and keep dancing, keep rocking out. But this was just cleared out the place.
That was part of the finding your sound and just, just forming your identity as a band. So,
this is great. Does it work for us?
Yeah.
Nope. Or I remember that. That was so funny. We tried, I feel like we played Another Brick in the Wall. Like there were 2 or 3 songs that kind of made sense. But when we played those in our set, only one time.
Vibe, right?
Yeah. Yeah. People weren't into it. Or at least they weren't as engaged as they were.
It seemed like energy was always part of our show. Like it just, we had to have the energy in our song.
Totally.
In our stage presence. Maybe that was just in our head at the time a little bit too, but I just felt like we had to have the energy level up the whole time.
Well, yeah, man. Yeah. And I think this was like a proof of concept that, again, this is great, but is it us? No, I guess not. We had a variety of sound too. We had crunchy riffs. We had really up-tempo tunes. We had relaxing tunes. But yeah, songs that were relaxing and chill in our own way. That's what worked for us.
Exactly. Yeah. Like Napkin Song, right? Like
Napkin
that's it was more relaxed, a slower tempo, but it was ours. And
absolutely.
They could feel that, right?
Definitely. So, definitely. I remember Napkin Song was on the radio for a bit. I think True Love was the first. Napkin Song, they spun a little bit. And then the third one, I think this is when Scott Belford had taken over the thing. Yeah. He loved Civil Engineer.
Yeah.
So he spun Civil Engineer.
That was good getting that on there.
Absolutely.
Too. That's such a good riff.
Crunchy rock too.
Good riff, Arjun.
And good riff, Neil, too. That song was so funny because I remember like you had the main groove. Yeah. And I don't know how the chorus, maybe KJETIL was like saying the words he wanted to say. Yeah. And then that riff came to me and then we're like,
that song was all you, man. Honestly, really? That's my memory of it. It was all you and KJETIL. Yeah. Hammered that one out, and I was like, I don't have to change anything. Maybe a slight little alternate picking variance in the main riff, but not much else than that. Like, that was great. Yeah. Good riff. Yeah.
That was a fun tune, man.
And again, energy, right?
Energy, exactly. Like, just super deep pocket on that tune. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Cool.
Stacy was good with that.
He was.
That pocket on the chorus there, especially. Just
And that comes, his experience, like playing covers, playing original music, being a session drummer. He was always a person who, when we were trying to articulate ideas, Stacy could kind of make it quantifiable in some way. Like, there was it was I Got All My Thoughts. Do you remember that song? We're trying to figure out the drum groove for it. And he was like, no, it's like that Coldplay tune. It's like 3 against 4. And then it turns around. And I don't know why we were stuck on that. But, he was able to describe it in a way, show us, look, this is probably what you want to do. And it brought everything into place, into where it should be.
He had a knack for that. He was really good at
absolutely.
Just showing, just seeing it in a different way and helping guide us to the goal.
Definitely, man. Yeah, definitely. I feel like at that time we had, again, we had another year between SummerSlam 2003 to SummerSlam 2004, we were going to open for Wide Mouth Mason. But
that's right.
That year, there was a tornado in town.
Yep.
So we couldn't open because the tornado was like hitting Grand Prairie.
Yep.
While we were supposed to be playing. So obviously local opener, is going to get bumped.
Yeah.
And then I think Wide Mouth, like everything got pushed way later.
That's right.
And then I'm pretty sure Wide Mouth Mason got to play later. I don't know if anyone else played earlier in the night, but they figured it out. But I remember that was such a bummer. Like we weren't, because we weren't able to play.
Yep.
This was like our main stage SummerSlam debut, and I was so choked.
Damn weather.
But what can you do? It's a force of nature that, you can't really mess with that.
Yeah, just go jam some more and get ready for the next one.
Absolutely.
Summer, or not SummerSlam, Grizzfest. But that's one of my best memories early on. I think Stacy entered at that point, and that was one of our first gigs actually with him.
It was. I remember that. That was the same summer as SummerSlam. I think like Grizzfest.
August?
That was in August.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. That was, we drove out to Tumbler Ridge, beautiful place. We all camped out together, played a great show with some other awesome local bands. Like I remember Welfare Jar and the Paydays played there.
Oh, I love those
Welfare
guys.
Jar. Oh, you know what? Angie from Welfare Jar, Angie Maximetz, wonderful, area musician and producer. She played a solo set at the Bear Creek Folk Fest open mic a couple of weeks ago.
Sweet.
And it was so wonderful seeing her perform.
Nice, yeah.
Her originals are, like they're kind of like sort of the heart of the Welfare Jar sound, And so just as soon as she started playing and singing, just with that unique like voice that she has, like artistic voice.
The delivery, is
oh my
so
gosh.
Cool.
It was amazing. It felt so nostalgic and fresh, and nobody else sounds like that.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. It's like Tom Waits plus carnival music.
Yeah.
Plus alt rock. I don't know, man. That's the best I got.
That's pretty accurate, yeah. I mean, back then, I haven't seen her for a while, mind you, but like I'd like to get out and see more of the old folk playing and the new people too,
Definitely.
Sooner or later here.
You betcha, man. That's one of the things, I guess, kudos to the Bear Creek Folk Festival, for like existing and doing what they do, providing an incredible festival experience like in GP, which is so cool. But then also everything around them, like all of their fundraiser shows, all of the special shows that they set up, and featuring local artists. I hadn't been to one of those in a long time, and the vibe was great because you had, again, like Booty Man played, with Emily Booth and Julie Booth singing together. Oh, what a...
So much talent in this
So much
city,
talent,
man.
absolutely. And we, there were a few younger like singer-songwriters who was the first time they'd ever played on stage. It's such a beautiful vibe.
It's cool seeing that and remembering your first time on stage.
Just
and just like
brought it all back.
It's really cool.
Absolutely, man. Boy, Grizzfest, radio
Grizzfest,
stuff,
man. And a good memory for me is that was, I think, the same time as Songs for the Deaf.
Oh yeah. The Queens and Stone Age record, Songs for the Deaf.
And I just marathoned that there and back, and Stacy riding with me. We're just, this is so, because Dave Grohl on drums, right?
Yes.
And
absolutely.
That was great. Great trip.
Killer songwriting. Yep. Totally. I remember me and Brandon drove out together because I had to take my full stack, clearly, because we're playing a live show, so you got to take a full stack. And we get there, and they have backlines.
Yeah.
Just no reason to have done what I did.
But you did it, Arjun.
But I did. It was there. There was a full stack.
It was worth it.
It was worth it.
Yeah.
Gosh. So around that time, Shaun must have begun to move, right? Yeah. Shaun McDonald was going to move to Edmonton, like work-wise, career-wise and stuff.
Yeah.
So I guess we got into our J.Sin Lanidrac joined the band soon after, right? Because we were kind of like going full steam ahead doing what we were doing. We'd recorded a bunch, played a bunch. We had more shows on the horizon, and we needed a bass player, and so
that could jump in right away and fill in. J.Sin did.
He did, absolutely.
Yeah.
J.Sin and Stacy played in cover bands together back in the day, and they toured across Canada, so they had a rapport. And J.Sin was, a beastly bass player with a unique kind of voice of his own. And, man, I just, again, like, there's kind of a blur because, like, so much happened. Like, we started playing in Edmonton, Calgary. Yeah. We started playing all around the area. Edmonton was great because we played at Reds, which I don't know if it's the Edmonton Event Center now or something, but that's like a stage where massive bands play.
Yeah,
you know,
amazing venue. Yeah,
it was amazing that they brought us in. They always treated us well, gave us hotel rooms, money. They gave us, you know, some snacks and some beers, and it was a great time.
J.Sin jumped right in, and the musicianship that he brought was very valued. And I had connected with him years earlier too, when I was jamming with Nelson.
I totally didn't realize that.
And just because I don't know how we made the connection back then, but we ended up jamming. You know where Domino's? There's a condo back there with
absolutely.
A bunch of like little garages or like carports, whatever. So we'd set up in there, and I remember jamming Tragically Hip with J.Sin.
Cool.
And I was terrible back then. I was just finding my technique, everything, woodshedding. But and then years later, it was really cool winding back around and connecting with him again, and just seeing how I evolved. Yeah. And how, because, you know, rhythm section, so how we, you know, blended that together. Definitely. Years after that. It was pretty neat.
It really was. They, J.Sin and Stacy had this cool vibe where, because they'd played together and they'd kind of been through everything once, the way they would approach the kick and the bass locking together was a really interesting thing. Yeah. I'm sure it's a thing that bands do, but, you know, it was so fresh at the time. Man. It was so cool. Yeah. At that time, I remember we were also writing for what would be our debut and final full-length album. Yep. And like, I feel like the dynamic writing-wise had shifted from being all KJETIL songs that we would kind of add to being, I feel like a real partnership, right? Like, you know, you would have a song, KJETIL would have a song, I might have some material, and we would all work on these ideas together and write from scratch. I feel like that started happening a little bit towards the end of jamming at my grandparents'. I should mention. Oh my gosh! Just jamming at their farm out west of town by Dimsdale. Dimsdale, yeah.
Up on top of the hill there, right along the highway. Beautiful. And we'd make the trek out there like twice a week and jam, and that's where I think, like, towards the end of that, we started to feel that, like, to create songs in that way that you're describing. Yeah. And then once we got into Corey Sewell's house.
Yep, thank you, absolutely.
Yeah, props to her for letting us get in there. That's when I think it really started to hit there. Like, I'd come up with something, and Stacy would start drumming. You would add some color. J.Sin would, you know, do his thing, and KJETIL would kind of freeform it.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember specifically a song like "Why Am I Not You?" Yeah. Yeah. Was like, that was one of those songs where KJETIL had a thing, you added to it, I added to it. We hit the, remember we had that little Iron Maiden thing in the middle? That was so good. That came out of a jam, I remember. Yeah. Like, we got to that point in the song, we need something to get back into this, and somehow you and I just started playing that lick. Quick, harmonize, okay. And then that was it. It was so cool, man. Such a cool moment.
Yeah, it was a great way to come back into the chorus.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just right.
Totally. And some of those songs were getting like 5-6 minutes long. Yeah. Like Watch It Grow. I feel like Watch It Grow was mainly a KJETIL song. I think you had a bunch of parts there. Yeah. And then we kind of worked on the arrangement together. But, you know, some of these songs were like 5.5, 6 minutes long.
The end track, We Land Here, right? That's one I really remember. Yeah, me coming with a riff and Stacy just immediately just coming up with some great beats. And,
totally.
Yeah.
It's funny because that song's like a double kick workout. Yeah. At the time, it was like the heaviest thing that we had. You know, I remember finishing shows with that. Yeah. You know, it's like, that's it. We got nothing else. We're going so hard on this tune.
I kind of have a regret with that song. Just
Why?
In the studio, I should have just cut a solo on it. But I was just like,
dude,
I don't want to just do a solo just for the sake of doing a solo. But maybe I should have.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's a fine balance between, you know, like, hey, man, it's got to serve the song. And, you know, like, we were at that point in our, like, artistic careers where, like, there's a certain something to be said about bravado, just pure... You know what? I'm going to take this solo.
Especially on that song. Like,
Absolutely. The whole thing is
I think this is the whole thing of the studio, and everything is just magnified. And
right.
I don't know. Maybe too many meatball subs.
Dude, speaking of which, yeah, man, let's get into it. So we at some point decided, okay, you know, we've hit critical mass.
Yeah.
You know, like, the only step forward for us is to release an album and really, like, push harder and stuff.
Yep.
So we worked... we found time at Sunday Sound in Calgary, SUNDAE. It doesn't exist anymore, sadly, but it was run by Dave Alcock, former drummer in Chicks Dig It, great Canadian punk band.
Chicks Dig It, yeah.
And man, we booked the time. We went to Cal. We committed like a week in Calgary, and then a few more days in the new year to finish it up, to mix, do some overdubs, and that's it. I mean, we stayed at KJETIL's parents' place. We survived on a diet of meatball subs and like Safeway meatball, or Subway meatball subs and like Safeway salads or something.
Yeah,
like
and
that.
Roasted chicken. Too,
Roasted, exactly.
Yeah, it's so good.
It was delicious though. I have no regrets. I mean,
not at all.
My health may have taken it, but whatever. I don't care. It was like 20.
All those
22.
calories were being put into the riffs.
Yes, we left it all in the studio, man.
Yeah.
Ben, what do you remember about the studio time?
I just remember wanting to have one for myself. It was so cool being in there and just getting into the nitty-gritty of every song. But at the same time, when all of us were there, we were doing it all off the floor to begin with, and everything was so tight because of Stacy and J.Sin.
Absolutely.
It was. We didn't really have to do much overdubbing after that. Maybe a little bit.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I'm trying to remember.
I mean, I think our MO was, look, we're going to go and lay this live off the floor. And we did.
Yeah.
You know, and then we went back and retracked rhythm guitars with like, you know, like the rhythm guitar sound that we wanted, and then did solos and stuff like that. But man, drums and bass, I mean, it was, the energy was all because of that.
Yeah. It was really neat. And just the vibe, like I said, it's nice being able to get into the songs and see what works and what doesn't, and just maybe doing some little adjustments here and there. And it's honing your songwriting, right? Like it's nice to have that option.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep,
absolutely.
Back then, I mean, we're talking what, 2005? Compared to now, where you have so many options now, right? And then the gear is so much better.
Absolutely.
The mics, I mean, you can make do. Back then, it was a lot harder, and you needed to be in that environment to find that sound that you're chasing.
100%.
Yeah.
That was amazing. I remember just setting up all of our gear, having, you know, being able to set everything up, being in a studio with a drum room.
And to turn it up in isolation and get that.
Crank it. Absolutely.
Again, the plexi, reference back to the plexi, just turning those amps up, feeling that.
Just feel them sing.
Yeah.
What were you playing at the time for gear?
It was the XXX hooked into the TV cab, and then I think I had recorded that whole thing with the Gibson.
I think so too.
The black one, the SG.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, and like I should play it more now. I don't really play it because it's like precious. I want to just leave it in its case, kind of.
Yeah, of course.
And hammer on the cheap Epiphone, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I recorded, I think, with. And yeah, it's a great. I think something was up with my toggle switch back then, and on the Watch It Grow, or after the solo section or something, the really intense. So it happened by accident, right? The toggle switch glitched out, and it kind of fit.
Yeah.
So you left it in.
We left it in, absolutely.
It's like it's malfunctioning, but it's working. It's working.
Because that's rock and roll, right? Yeah. Like it's I mean, everything is a mixture of happy accidents. Like you go in with a plan, but then you allow yourself, like, you know, the leeway to let the universe like take you in different directions sometime. And that was one of those things. This is beautiful, man. That was a really interesting time. There was like a piano song. I don't remember why.
Yeah.
There were some piano chords I was playing, and KJETIL wrote a song to it, and then it became like a vocal showcase.
That's that seamless thing that we were talking about earlier. Like just me or you bringing something to the table, and he'd just have the lyric book or whatever just in his head, and he'd just let it out.
Yeah,
Before
absolutely.
you know it, it's a song.
Yeah.
Something so simple as like just piano, right? Just clear and pure. Yeah.
Totally. Absolutely, man. It's funny because the ending of that recording basically coincides with like kind of the implosion of the band too.
Yeah,
it's like we finished recording this great album. We're so stoked on it. Here's this thing. You guys like No One's Alone here. Check this out. Here's some new material. Here's all this stuff, and then man, everything just imploded.
I think a lot of that had to do with let's just say that at that time we were making the trek to Barhead quite a bit too at that time. I think it was close to that, right? Right after the recording we're talking about.
Yep.
So that was really taxing on everybody because
time,
Stacy
it's
and
money, and
J.Sin from Edmonton, and then us three
from Grand Prairie.
coming from Grand Prairie. So meeting in Barhead just because they had moved prior to that, I think.
Yeah, and we wanted to keep the band together. Our chemistry wasn't undeniable, so it made sense for us to be together.
Yeah.
But then, when people move away, I mean, things are taxing for a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
And then around the same time, we had an opportunity, a couple of things. I feel like that summer was the end of like the classic lineup, right? We had two things lined up. One was like a showcase in New York City.
Yeah.
And one was
at the cutting room.
The cutting room. Yep.
That was cool, man.
That was an interesting time.
I was so mad after that show because we couldn't bring our gear, right?
Yeah.
Our guitars, of course.
Yeah.
But I couldn't dial in my tone.
Yeah.
And because we didn't have much time, right? We had to jump on for the showcase, but I was so mad at myself and just in my head about it. And like Justin, and you were like, "Oh, it's fine.
Yeah.
You sounded good. Don't worry about it."
Yep.
But it was just good camaraderie on that trip.
Absolutely.
It was fun.
Well, and that's interesting because again, because Stacy and J.Sin couldn't travel, we had to find a rhythm section because we decided this is the thing that we wanted to do.
Yeah.
So then coming back around full circle, so Justin Staffen and Brent Hessler, wonderful players, ready to, just make this thing happen, stepped in, made the trip. We played in New York. We hung out, palled around, and then came back. I think that was a time when the industry had started to change. And so, at the showcase, I got the vibe that there were some pop singers, and anyone who was in A&R was like making a beeline for the pop stars, right? Which is interesting, eye-opening. But that's what happens when you're in a place and then you go to a much larger place with more of the industry. You kind of get an inside track on this is what's really happening. Okay.
Yeah. Different region entirely and just country, all that.
Yeah.
But I did feel after our set that we captured that audience.
We did.
We totally did it.
Oh my gosh.
Like you could feel it.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
during and after.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great moment.
So many people came up to us and just had good vibes, good things to say. I remember there were a few bands who also were like, "Hey, if you guys are around, maybe we can play together." That was interesting. But we had to come back to Canada because we can't afford to just travel and stay there.
Of course.
And all that kind of stuff.
It's a dream world.
Absolutely.
Another great memory from that trip is prior to the show, we were in the hotel rooms and Justin had set up a makeshift drum kit out of, was it the suitcases?
It was
or
the
something?
Suitcases. It was suitcases, like our toiletries bags, things like that. He had his kick pedal hitting a suitcase, right? And then some combination of stuff, making up snare, hi-hat, toms, stuff. And we jammed with because we traveled with little practice amps in our suitcases, so it was so funny.
And it worked, man. It brought us together before this big show. This was an important show for us at the
absolutely.
time.
Yep.
Because it was kind of like a signing off, but it was a weird vibe,
What's this? Hang on one sec. Yikes. Technical difficulties. You know what? We're already at an hour for this, so we're going to make a part 3. Come back next week, which is whatever the date is, for episode 31, featuring Neil, part 3.
Hopefully you aren't tired of me yet.
And now, oh my gosh, I know. People will be like, this Neil guy, man. Oh my,
So
jeez.
long-winded. Does he ever shut up?
Exactly. In the meantime, like, subscribe, share. Hope you dig it. Come back next time and we will wrap up. Well, maybe we won't wrap it up, Neil. Maybe there's part 4 and part 5. I don't even know.
You never know.
Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll start talking about gear and awesome guitars.
Of course.
Sounds good. Come back and catch part 3 with me and Neil Farnquist. Goodbye.